Maibuye.
Well.
Maibuye. Africa.
Pops Mohamed, South African multi-instrumentalist, renowned in jazz circles in particular for introducing ancient instruments of the Khoisan into his repertoire. He's released numerous albums and appeals to a diversity of music lovers at home and abroad, and writes, performs his own music, as well as launching music careers of other artists from the region who otherwise would not be recorded nor presented to the world. Bra Pops.
Hi, Tim.
Great to catch up with you, man.
Long time.
I appreciate your contribution. I appreciate you as a human being.
I appreciate you too.
Well, you know, and of course, spirituality, moving the creativity. That's how I see your work.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, you know, we keep on grinding and trying to understand, searching for answers through music and understanding who we are, where we're coming from, where we're going to.
Yes.
You know, not just for ourselves, but for the children as well.
And this is something that matters a great deal for you because, you know, normally people will stay within the main lane, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And then you decide some decades back that, look, I'm going to bring instruments that are from the region here, that have got a lot to do with the history of this region.
Yes.
Ancient instruments and cultural influences of the Khoisan as well.
Yes.
How was the journey to that point anyway?
It was absolutely amazing. Before I started getting into indigenous instruments, I was playing guitar. You know, in those days, you wanted to be a superstar.
One of the pop stars of the
guitar.
Exactly.
You know, but then June 1976 came, the uprising, Soweto uprising. And then we started listening to people like Mzwakhe, Blondie and Papa, the African Youth Band, and guys are coming with powerful revolutionary songs. And I said, my God, man, this is the start of a new era. If I want to be part of that, I must have a good reason for playing music. And I don't see myself as a pop star. And that's when I started remembering my roots. Where I grew up, I saw indigenous instruments, people coming from the mines, jamming in the shebeens. And then you'll find the guy from Ekasi playing a penny whistle, old out-of-tune piano and this indigenous instruments. And I said, my God, please, that's the sound I want to bring back, because those sounds were never recorded, because it was illegal gathering in any way. But thanks God, I remembered those sounds, and I'm trying to recreate that sounds. So I had to go from village to village to umama and ubaba to teach me these instruments, you know. And that was my contribution. And then I saw Johnny Clegg coming out with some powerful stuff, and I said, that's the answer. So then that's my search. That's my
how the journey began.
That's how it began.
And you've been in the business for more than 50 years.
I think just about 45.
45, almost around that time, right? And played pop music and up to this.
Pop music, jazz, funk,
and
stuff like that.
Exactly.
You know, we used to go with the era doing cover versions. We've been through the Van Halens, Jimi Hendrix, you just name it, Doobie Brothers, Cliff Richard and the Shadows.
I said something about pop music, and I go back to the name Pops Mohamed.
Oh, yeah.
There's an interesting story behind it.
Yeah, well, you know, it was strange because when I was a kid, you know, we never had television and stuff. We used to entertain ourselves with comics, by reading comics. And Popeye the Sailor Man was my favorite character. Whenever he wants to do something serious, you know,
had a bit of spinach.
And then, you know. And I always believe that, man, if I eat spinach, you know, I'll be strong.
Stuff will happen.
You know, so I ate a lot of spinach, and people noticed that, and they called me, oh, Nangu Popeye. You know, everyone Nangu Popeye. You know, they called me Popeye, and I hated the name Popeye. So now you reach a certain age, now you start looking at the girlfriends, and you introduce yourself to a girl, and you want to carry her school books home. You know, you say, you're not going to tell a girl your name is Popeye. She'll laugh in your face. So I said, my name is Pops. Pops Mohamed, as in Bond, James Bond.
It worked pretty well for you.
Pops Mohamed, and it stuck there.
Well, you know, there are many things that you're busy with, and we will talk to you again in the future. But what's exciting me currently is the fact that you've gone to places like Namibia and other parts of the region to unearth musicians who have wisdom, experience, some much. Or tell me about one of your artists.
Well, one of the artists, I mean, I can name a few. I mean, the person I'm working with currently is in Sikimazwai. I'm working with Zaps. I'm working with Dudu Majola, a young lady who plays Amakwaya, and I'm teaching her to play Mbira. But one of my greatest influences was working with the Sand People since 1993, I believe.
Right.
Because when you talk about the Sand, you always see this guy in the skins running after animals with a bow and arrow. And I thought to myself, there's got to be something more to that. You know, I went around all the record stores, being very naive, asking for music by the Sand People. They go, "Yes, Malman doesn't so kahutari." You know what I mean? So I ended up at the SABC and asked them, you know, have you got music on the Sand? They said, no, what do you want to do with that? You know, you're taking us back to those days, to the push. I said, I need it. So they gave me a recording that was recorded in 1952 by a British journalist. Took it back to the archives at the BBC. That was sold back to us at SABC, and then they translated it into Afrikaans. And I paid 130 bucks for it. That was like in the 80s. 130 rand was a lot of money for a half an hour's cassette. So I listened to it very carefully, and I listened to the music, which was something out of this world. There's no harmonies, you know, first voice, harmony, backing. No, it's just something from a different planet. And I said, I'd love to go there one day. And unfortunately, I got the chance to go in the 90s. And I wanted to see if the music has changed. And when I met the people, you know, and they had like a beautiful trance dance that evening, like welcoming me. And the music played and they were doing it. It was exactly the same as that one. And I felt so good that it's undiluted. It's never been and then experimented with. No one messed around with
it in your music.
And I said, no, and this is what I'd love to incorporate and also help these people uplift themselves.
Well, you know what, Bra Pops, what I want to do is, I know you've been recording an album with an
old man Kippie. If you remember my album, How Far Have We Come? There's this old man on the cover. He's been here with me since the 16th of January. He came for a cataract operation. So he stayed 16th of February. And I did an album at my house.
So what I want you to do is when the old man is back in town, you and him come here. And then we have a great chat. We talk about the music and how you work together. And I'm going to ask a favor from you. Tomorrow, I would like us, well, just after this recording, we must talk to Danny, the 13-year drummer, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. But thanks again for having been with us.
So we'll talk to Danny tomorrow.
Exactly.
You know, I love that kid, man. He's absolutely amazing.
He's just out of this world.
Thank you so much.
And I hope we're going to come up with a plan after the talk with Danny. Much appreciated. Pops Mohamed, one of the leading performers in the nation, and of course incorporating the culture of South Africa, including the ancient part of it, the Khoisan culture, into his music and taking it around the world. He graced us with his presence here in the studio, and we hope that you got something out of it, enjoyed the program like we did. We invite you to be with us again tomorrow night. Thank you.